2016. Tonight's meeting is being broadcast by Milford TV. There are members of the media present. If anybody would like a copy of tonight's meeting, please let any other member or myself know at the end. Tonight's meeting, there are two items on the agenda. The first one is the appointment of the Assistant Superintendent of Schools for the town of Milford. Dr. McIntyre?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I want to walk the committee through the process so they understand kind of the different steps that we took to identify the candidate that we're going to recommend for appointment this evening. We received actually 63 applications for the position. We had a committee of 9 curriculum team leaders who represented teachers from all levels, from elementary to the high school, who served as our screening committee. That committee recommended 10 candidates, 10 semifinalists. Those semifinalists were then interviewed by an interview committee made up of central office and building administrators. Of that group, we interviewed 8. 2 of those recommended candidates were actually in the process of accepting positions as part of other searches. Based on the interviews and the committee's deliberations, we came to a unanimous conclusion. And we anticipated maybe 2 or 3 finalists coming forward and maybe a couple additional steps in the process, but because the committee was unanimous and enthusiastic about one particular candidate, we decided we'd make the recommendation for appointment, and that candidate is Craig Consigli, the current principal of Woodland Elementary School.
Thank you. With that, I'll open up the discussion. Anybody?
I don't have anything for discussion.
I had one thing I wanted to. And I know I actually had an opportunity to speak with you over the weekend, Kevin, and I appreciated your time with that. And, you know, I have a child at Woodland right now and another one who's been there, and think the world of you, Craig. It's weird, you're sitting right there and we're talking about you. I think the one request, and I think you're going to be a great assistant superintendent, by the way. The one request that I would make, I think, in the future is when we look at positions like this, positions that have a big impact on the whole school community, that we really think about the process and we, as best we can, really stick to that process. Sometimes things happen in a process that we can't anticipate. Many candidates withdraw. Maybe you have 3 finalists at the end and 2 pull out and you're left with
Absolutely.
one. And as a committee, I think we did something that was a little unconventional when we appointed you very recently. And the kind of the process that we chose was to kind of abort having the traditional process and to appoint you, but we did kind of go through a process because we called in the MASC and we did a lot of research through them, and we got a feel for what the climate is in terms of appointing a new superintendent. So and obviously I'm just speaking for me, what I like to see is when you really have that final candidate who's able to rise above everybody else. And, you know, when we appoint someone, because the hiring committee made that decision, and I respect the hiring committee, I think it was a great interview committee that you put together of people who really have done a terrific job in our district. But I think just to remain transparent to the public and really make sure that every candidate has been vetted, I would like to see us go through that full process moving forward, if there are candidates and if it's possible. That would just be my personal request moving forward.
Thank you.
I got one quick question. What was the deciding factor for Craig opposed to the other candidates? I mean, was it more experience or more of this, more of that?
Yeah,
What stuck out between everyone to make it unanimous?
It was a combination of things. I think one piece that I think impresses everybody about Craig is he really inspires teachers in the building to kind of action and to move forward. We've seen tremendous gains at Woodland Elementary School. We've also seen his leadership as part of the building committee, the transition committee, which has a lot of moving parts. And, you know, it's interesting, and I don't want to share too much about the actual deliberations, but one piece that really, I think, was the thing that puts Craig over the top was the fact that we kind of asked the question, who could step in if I were not available or, you know, or something were to happen to me? and the committee kind of had a little fun with that as well, as as we were talking. But the one consistent name that came across, and we had 7 members on that committee, was Craig Consigli, and it was unanimous. They felt like if we had one person that we'd want to step in, based on what we've seen in his leadership role at Woodland Elementary School, his history in the district, the different initiatives he's brought forward, the innovative professional development he's put forth at Woodland, as well as leadership in a number of areas that, you know, deal with inclusive practices like the English language learners, special education. So just across the board, kind of the total package, we said, geez, he's someone who could step in on day one, number one, and just kind of hit the ground running. But 2, you know, he could be that person that, you know, would be able to succeed me or step in if I were not available for whatever reason. And I think those were some of the critical pieces.
Thank you.
Patrick?
So, I mean, I said to Craig, I think it was, Craig, when did you take over the Woodland School Building? Was that 2 years ago? 3 years? 4 years ago. He was sort of a month into that process, and it was a big change. And I said to him, upon observing the way that he adjusted so quickly to the age of the students and the demeanor of the teachers, that there was no doubt in my mind that at some point in his career he'd be superintendent of schools here in Milford. And so, you know, I'm very supportive of Craig. I think that, you know, if he's the consensus view, you feel like he's the right person, then I'm going to have to trust that. I mean, you spoke to your CTLs and you said that was.
Absolutely.
Of course, I was also very comfortable that we had the perfect guy to open up the new Woodland School Building. And so now I'm a little concerned about that, but I know it's not like Craig's going to be walking away from that process. So, you know, I mean, of course, I'm supportive of Craig, always have been. I'm supportive of you, Kevin, I always have been. And if this is your choice, then this is your choice, and I certainly support that.
And we see Craig, just to kind of ease the committee's anxiety around the opening of the new building. Craig will be overseeing that process all the way through, because there's nobody in the district that knows every aspect of the process more than Craig does. And he's been instrumental from kind of day one.
Joe?
Yeah, so just to echo some of the comments that have already been made, I've had an opportunity to observe Craig not only as a member of this committee, but as a parent when my daughter went through that school, and I've always been very impressed, not only by the leadership qualities that you touched on, Kevin, but by the way he interacts with the kids and the way the kids respond to him, and the way the teachers respond to him as well. I don't know how he does it, but he finds a way to get everybody to pull in the same direction at that school, and I'm very excited about his ability to do that throughout the district going forward. And I think the two of you are going to make a great team going forward, and I'm really excited about the things that the two of you are going to be able to accomplish. So,
John?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say, I don't know Craig well. I'm looking forward to get to know him well. I feel I do know Dr. McIntyre very well, and I have a lot of faith in his decision in this process and that of the whole hiring committee. So I totally support this appointment. And
I'm sorry, John, you all set?
no, well, I'm all set. I was just going to say, I think as a matter, I think we actually have to make the appointment to support Dr. McIntyre's decision before we get through with this process.
I don't know if it was already to make a motion to.
I just want to make a comment, if you don't mind. You know, Craig, I reached out to the vice chairman today. I reached out to Dr. McIntyre. I'm with you. The community's with you. Everybody's thrilled. We just have to Jen's point, and I know you unanimously, and you should be, but we need to, in the future, when we make a statement that this is how the process is going to go, we need to follow it through, because in the community, although what I'm hearing is fantastic, and I've known you for a long time. I think you were my son's health teacher back in the day, whatever, but you know, they're just saying, well, we just wanted to, you know, if you lay the process out, we'd like to see the process through. He's going to be the candidate, you know. But then, in talking to Dr. McIntyre, it was a difficult thing to do, and I want the community to know that, because you came out such a rising star among the candidates, you know. So it was a difficult thing to do. But if we could in the future just try to you know, follow the process, that would be great. At the end of the day, he's the best candidate, and we're going to nominate him.
And just for the sake of the public, we will be holding a forum for both faculty and for the community, so they can kind of have a conversation with Craig and kind of, get a sense of what his vision for the position is and where he sees various initiatives kind of carrying forward. So we are going to follow through on that piece of the process.
Yeah, and just to piggyback to what Patrick said, and I remember when Dr. Tremblay moved you to the Woodland School, I called him up and I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "You're going to take a principal from an 8th grade standalone school and move him down to an elementary school?" And he said, "Trust me, he'll be fine." I have to agree with him. Phenomenal job you did down there. Even dressing up as, was it Davy Crockett?
Those are his regular clothes.
All right.
Saturday
And
afternoon.
with that, could I have a motion? Motion from Joe, second from John. All in favor to appoint Craig Consigli to the next Assistant Superintendent of Schools in Milford. Congratulations. Okay, next agenda item is the Woodland School Principal Search.
So I'm passing out a draft of the job description for the principal. There you go. And I want to kind of walk you through the process that we're going to undertake for this particular position. The goal is to post the position ideally tomorrow, because again, we're right in that, and I said this before when we were looking for the Director of Information Technology and Digital Learning. This is the prime recruiting season for, building and district level administrators. And this is when a lot of openings occur, and we want to get right in there. So the goal is to post the position on Friday and close the posting on Friday, March 25th, which gives us about 3 weeks.
Okay.
The goal is, and it's going to be a similar process to what we followed for the assistant superintendent, is we're going to convene a screening committee the week of March 28th, which is the following Monday after the posting closes. We're going to have teacher representatives from Woodland and Stacy on that committee is the goal, a PTO parent representative and a school council parent representative, and we're going to take into consideration both kind of the Stacy 5th grade parents as well as the Woodland parents, as well as same with the faculties. We want a representation from both faculties. And then we're going to convene, based on that, they're going to make a recommendation. My guess is it'll come somewhere between 7 and 12 semifinalist candidates, and we're going to do an interview committee with, I think, our current administration at Woodland, Craig and Lisa Kincaid, some district administration, and again, some representatives from the Woodland and Stacy faculties. So everybody kind of has a voice in the process. And the goal of that is to come up with somewhere between 2 and 3 finalists for the position. And we'll convene site visits and community and faculty forums the week of April 11th, and then hopefully have a recommendation to the school committee by April 28th if we follow the timeline, is the plan. So very similar to what we were looking to do for the assistant superintendent search. I think we're getting more parent involvement at the front end of it.
Any members, questions? Patrick?
How is this different from any other principal search that we conduct?
I think a couple things. I think for this position, we're talking about the largest elementary school in the state of Massachusetts. We're talking about 1,000 students. So I think we're really looking for somebody who has administrative experience at the building level already. So we want somebody who can kind of walk in, be that dynamic educational leader, and be able to really manage kind of this brand-new building that's going to be kind of the jewel of the community.
I
I
think
don't know if I
that,
answered your question.
no, you did, actually, you addressed the exact point that I was going to go with next. So this is going to be the largest elementary school building in Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I have a feeling that we're probably going to attract a lot of applicants
Absolutely.
for this position. I mean, everyone, or many people in your field, in the administrative field, know that this building is coming online and will have interest in this. Do you think, a month and a half is enough time to get the right person?
I do, just because I think this is the time when people are looking. And so I think if we, if we hold I think it's about 3 weeks, maybe a little more than 3 weeks, where we're going to kind of keep it open and going through that process. I think it will be enough time. And I think we want to be aggressive too, because I don't want to lose some top-level candidates, because I know, Newton's conducting searches, Weston's conducting searches for principals. There's probably 20 or 30 communities that I'm aware of right now that are conducting searches for elementary principals, and we want to make sure that we're getting the top candidates. So that's why it's an aggressive timeline as well.
And a lot of people in the search committee, I presume, are teachers, correct?
Absolutely.
So what kind of stress is this putting on their schedules, having to go through this extensive list of candidates that may be applying to districts in Newton and other places across the Commonwealth?
So the goal is really to get, and actually, it's funny, the last 3 days, 2 days, I've gotten a ton of emails from Woodland and Stacy teachers who have said, hey, I'm really interested in engaging in this, because I think they see how important it is, and they really want to have a voice in the process. So I think that they see it as not something that is going to add, I think they see it as so critical that even if it might add a little bit of a workload to what they're doing, I see different people at different phases of this, so I don't see like all the teachers who are on the screening. I see a different group of people, so it's not that they're going to be committing for 3 or 4 weeks of intensive work. I think it's going to be probably a few days for each committee. So I don't think it's going to be tremendously, I think it's going to be a commitment, but I don't think it's going to be an overwhelming commitment, but it's going to give an important voice to the process.
Joe?
Do you see potential of people that applied for the assistant superintendent applying for this job as well?
It's possible. I think most of the.
Because I'm sorry, I just don't know how that,
Yeah,
if
I
you
would
want to be an
say-
assistant or a principal.
I would say most of the candidates who applied for the position that we kind of interviewed are probably looking to make that next step to that district level position, so we probably won't see a lot of duplicates. I anticipate seeing a lot of folks who are, really interested and committed to the principalship, because we want someone who's gonna make, a commitment to the Milford Public Schools. We're really looking for, that kind of a person, because we don't want somebody who's gonna be here for a couple of years and then maybe move into that central office administrative job. We want somebody who's gonna be here and really kind of grow this new building and create this new culture where we're combining kind of 2 schools together to some degree.
Any other member? Any other questions? I'll take a motion for adjournment. John, Jen, all in favor? Good night and thank you.